The 5th episode starts with Bitna collapsing in Dian's arms. Dian rushes her to the hospital, where she is shifted to an emergency room, and Dian stays by her side. Soon, Mando and Gremory come to check on her, looking quite worried. At that moment, Bitna suddenly opens her eyes and sits up. Dian, startled, asks if she is okay, and next she is sitting in front of the doctor, who tells her that physically, she is fine, but Bitna is confused as to why she fainted if everything is normal. The doctor suggests that she might have fainted due to stress or some external stimulus. The doctor then asks Bitna to recall if something had happened just before she lost consciousness. At this moment, Bitna recalls seeing Dian suddenly. The doctor tells her to avoid the cause or eliminate the cause, to which Bitna responds that neither of them she could do, so the doctor advises her to adjust with the situation. Mando and Gremory then begin wheeling her out of the hospital. Dian returns and asks about her condition. Gremory asks him why he is there, and Dian responds that he wants to take her home since he is her neighbor. Bitna agrees to go with him, saying she also has something to discuss with him. As they leave, Dian asks how she feels, to which Bitna replies that he was not interested in her and didn't intend to bother her. Dian clarifies that he just wanted to confirm something, but Bitna cuts him off, sarcastically saying, "You've already confirmed that I'm a demon." Dian explains that he doesn't want to know about demons but rather everything about Bitna herself. He is curious about what kind of person she is now. As they approach Bitna's apartment, Minjun and her mother run towards elderly woman offering help. However, elderly woman, irritated, scolds them, asking them to stay away. The lady requests their help again. Reluctantly, elderly women agree, and they all return to the apartment. As Bitna and Dian get out of the car, the woman approaches them, inquiring about Bitna's health and mentioning that she is helping her as she is coming from clinic. The conversation shifts, and the woman tells Bitna that she should have died at that hospital rather than returning. Bitna retorts, saying she won't leave without attending the funeral. As the tension escalates, Dian intervenes, separating the two, and the elderly woman walks away angrily. Bitna watches her landlady, seeing the woman run towards her again. Bitna rushes to escape, but the woman grabs her, telling her that God will heal her if she comes to church. Bitna struggles to break free and runs away. Meanwhile, Dian is caught by the woman, who questions him about his religion. Dian escapes and finds himself on the balcony of his room, recalling a crime scene where something similar had happened with the can from which Bitna drinks. Later, at Bitna's house, Mando enters and asks Bitna to reveal her true identity to Dian. Bitna tells him she doesn't know who she is, so how can she tell him? Mando asks if she hates him so much that she wants to avoid him. Bitna disagrees, but Mando asks if she likes him, to which she disagrees. Mando suspects that Bitna will be blamed for everything and might end up in jail. Bitna dismisses him, telling him to leave. The next morning, Bitna receives a message from Gremory to meet her as she has something to tell her. That night, she sneaks out of the house to avoid being seen by Dian, but he follows her. Bitna realizes Dian is following her and manages to shake him off before disappearing. Bitna and Gremory later meet, and Gremory suggests they go somewhere for the weekend. Bitna declines, saying she is too tired, but Gremory insists it's an important meeting. She explains that a group of demons is searching for Satan, who escaped with hell treasure. There is meeting to exchange information. Bitna asks what will happen, to which Gremory responds that if they catch Satan and return the treasure to Lucifer and Satan to Baal, she will be rewarded from all her suffering. Mando then visits a law school to gather information about Bitna. A woman there tells him that Bitna was once a smart and studious student. Later, Mando, along with Bitna and Gremory, goes to a cooking academy, where Dian secretly follows them. He enters a room where he is suddenly confronted by several people holding knives. Bitna is shocked, and a demon approaches him with a knife, demanding to know who he is and how he got there. Dian points toward Bitna and Bitna introduces Dian as her driver, calling him Pupboy. The demon then questions Bitna's identity, to which she responds that it's her first time there. The demon is suspicious about her. Meanwhile, Gremory and Mando signals him that she is Justicia. Everyone is shocked and happy to meet Justicia. Dian, confused by the situation, asks Bitna who all these people are. Bitna whispers to him that they are all demons. Dian is shocked by their demonic abilities. Bitna advises him to leave immediately. At this point, a demon approaches them, claiming to know something about Satan. Dian, having no idea, plays along, saying it's his first day there. The demon then starts narrating a story about how, 26 years ago, Lucifer, who was once an angel, turned into a demon and Satan stole the treasure of hell called Kulium and escaped. However, when Satan tried to escape with it, the treasure slipped from his grasp, and now no one knows where Satan and Kulium is. Dian, still confused, asks Bitna to explain in simpler terms. Bitna breaks it down for him, and he finally understands. He then asks the demon if they are all related to demons. The demon confirms that they were sent to Earth on a mission to find Satan and complete their own respective tasks. Bitna then insists again that Dian should leave, but he refuses. Dian asks her why everyone respects her so much and whether she is of high rank. Bitna tells him she ranks third in hell. At that moment, the demon returns, ordering Dian to deliver lunch boxes. Bitna, through gestures, convinces him to go, but he stays. All the demons gather to distribute lunch, where Bitna was easily tied to go and ask the rest of the group to leave, but Bitna stays behind, frustrated by the situation. While everyone else is handing out lunches, a demon approaches an elderly man to give him his meal. The man is pleased, calling the demon kind, and the demon is moved to tears. Dian observes this and demon pulls Dian aside, asking him if he's going to tell everyone that he cried. Demon warns Dian not to tell anyone that he saw him crying, telling Dian he will be killed if anyone got to know. Dian reassures him, saying he won't tell anyone about it, and Demon also tells him that he knows Dian is actually human. As Demon is about to leave, he hands a card to Dian. Then Dian asks the demon about Bitna, to which the demon tells him to stay away from her. Everyone begins leaving, and Bitna remarks that it was the worst experience. The demon departs, and Dan calls the demon kind, to which Bitna responds angrily, saying that demons and kindness cannot coexist, and tells Dian to go separate ways. She storms off, frustrated, unable to walk properly in her heels, yet refusing to accept Dian's help. Meanwhile, at a nearby church, Mando is wearing gloves and begins reading the Bible. Minjun helps him with this. As they exit the church, Minjun asks Mando why he was wearing gloves and specs, to which Mando makes an excuse. Mando then asks Minjun what he had prayed for, and Minjun replies that he had prayed for his and his mother happiness. Later, the apartment owner tells Mando that only one person remains who hasn't been brought to the church. And that is Bitna. She tried to convince Mando to bring her to church. The scene shifts to a police station, where the teen was waiting for Dian, and his colleague remarks that something seems strange about him, to which Dian tells them that Bitna is demons and there are many more of them. His superior tells him to collect proof first. Meanwhile, Dian is seen reviewing a report that had been filed during the investigation. The report contains only Dian's fingerprints, not Bitna's, on the can he collected from the crime scene, which confuses him. Next, the police receive a phone call from a man claiming that his wife, child, and daughter have been killed. When the police arrive, the man is crying desperately to save his daughter. He claims to know who the murderer is and then confesses that he himself killed them. The man is psychotic, alternating between laughter and tears. The entire police team arrives at a crime scene, including Dian, who, upon seeing the scene, is reminded of his childhood when he saw his parents dead. In a similar way, and he steps outside, scared. His team leader advises him to handle just this one case, but Dian insists on handling both. The scene cuts to the police station, where the man, still in a psychotic state, denies having any recollection of what happened, claiming he did nothing. When asked what his last memory was, he says that he had a bad relationship with his son and had called him outside to talk. After that, he does not remember anything. Dian continues interrogating him, with the man initially denying he killed his wife and children. Suddenly, his voice changes, and he identifies himself as Kim Seal, stating that he is a 5th grade student. The man begins talking to himself in different personalities. Dian asks about the man's relationship with Yang Sungbin, to which the man admits he was his longtime friend. He also confesses that he, Ku Dawan, had killed his family because they didn't respect him and mocked him for not earning any money. His children also didn't respect him, which is why he killed them. The man switches between his personalities, becoming increasingly psychotic, and even starts hitting himself. Dian then points out that there had been many domestic violence cases reported from this man's house, but despite everything, the man feels no regret for his actions. Dian continues interrogating him, and the entire police team reviews his report, diagnosing him with multiple personality disorder. The man insists he isn't pretending, and Dian realizes that one of his personalities didn't even know that he was an officer, so he questions him how he identified him as an officer during their interrogation. The man replies that he might have seen it on TV, leading him to assume Dian was an officer because of the police station setting. Bitna is shown coming into the office, where she is caught as she was trying to avoid attention. They ask her to rest, concerned about her health, and inquire whether she has met the man she had taken advice for. She confirms she met him and asks them what happens when the heart starts beating fast. One of the people present says it might be a cardiac disease, but she bids them goodbye and leaves. Another person speculates that she is probably experiencing one-sided love. Later, Bitna is sitting in her office when Mando comes and tells her about various cases, all of which did not involve any murders. Bitna becomes irritated, but then Mando mentions a family murder case. Bitna becomes interested and asks for more details, but the case details were unavailable because the accused was being protected, and their identity wasn't revealed. Bitna instructs Mando to find out the name secretly. Mando finds out the name Yang Sungbin and visits Bitna's house to share the information. Bitna writes the name on the mirror and sees that the person was in jail. In the next scene, Yang Sungbin mother-in-law and sister-in-law comes to visit him at police station, asking if he really didn't kill their daughter. At first, he denies it, but his other, more aggressive personality takes over, accusing the woman of being a terrible mother who didn't know how to raise her daughter. The aggressive personality says everything happened because of her and that she should have been the first to die. The woman becomes furious, and the police take him away. Later, the mother and daughter are leaving their police station, and the mother is shocked, asking how he could have done such a thing. The daughter tells her that the man admitted to everything and that the police had confirmed it. Mother blames her, saying if she hadn't told her daughter to hold, their daughter would still be alive today. The mother collapses on the road, crying. Meanwhile, at the crime scene, the police describe how the murders were committed using a hammer and how the bodies were mutilated even after death. Hearing this, Dian is reminded of his childhood. Then Seops tells him that one child was beaten more severely than the others. One unusual detail was that the child's phone was broken in multiple times, and Dian realizes that the man had split his personality's name during the interrogation. When the Dian mixed the names of his personalities, he later corrected himself, proving that he was aware of them. The next scene takes place in court, where Bitna, in Chief Justice Office, discusses her transfer with the other court who disagrees with her decision. Bitna calls an assemblyman, and his eldest son asks why she is behaving this way. The assemblyman suggests that these favors might be useful in the future. At police station, a police officer informs them that Bitna is the judge for the case. And they all are saddened by it. Bitna is in her office when two other judges come to meet her. She orders them to do a task and not say anything in court. Meanwhile, Dian arrives home to find Bitna already there. She asks him why he hasn't moved on yet, and Dian asks if she was waiting for him. She denies it and begins to leave, and Dian wishing her good luck with the trial. Next day the trial begins, where she asks the prosecutor team to describe the case. The prosecutor explains how the man killed his wife and children and requests a harsh sentence. The defense lawyer argues that the man has multiple personality disorder, and this should be considered. The prosecutor, however, insists that the man is pretending. Bitna directly questions the man, asking if he truly remembers killing his wife and children. He says he doesn't remember, and when his lawyer tries to calm him down, the man becomes triggered. He starts beating his lawyer, asking how he could interrupt him. The man begins switching between his personalities, shouting at Bitna as well. The police eventually take him away, but the trial is postponed until a full report is available. Outside the courtroom, the media bombards the man with questions, asking if he really committed the murders. The man pleads for help, claiming he didn't kill his family and begging for forgiveness from his mother-in-law. He insists he didn't do it and asks mother-in-law to believe him. As the trial ends, Bitna leaves the courtroom, and Mando runs after her, telling her not to do anything rash, saying that if she proceeds like this, the same thing that happened with Dian will happen again. Bitna assures him that nothing will happen. At the hospital, the lights turn off, and the police officers are knocked unconscious by Gremory. Bitna approaches young Sungbin with a knife, ready to kill him, but just as she is about to attack, Dian grabs her ankle from below, shocking her. The episode ends here. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel.